You didn't choose this habit. No one asked you if you wanted it. No one warned you it was forming. And yet, it's running your life. You notice it in small moments. You open your phone without thinking. You replay conversations that already ended. You feel tension before anything actually happens. And you wonder, why do I keep doing this? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain learned this habit silently, while you were busy surviving. Brains don't ask for consent. They adapt. At some point, your environment taught your brain something. Stay alert, stay ready, stay ahead. Maybe it was pressure, maybe unpredictability, maybe expectations you couldn't escape. Your brain noticed what worked. Worry kept you prepared. Overthinking prevented mistakes. Staying busy avoided uncomfortable feelings. So it repeated those behaviors, not once, not consciously, but consistently. And repetition is how habits are built. This is why the habit feels automatic. Now, you don't decide to do it. It happens to you. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you using an old strategy that once made sense. But what once helped you cope may now be quietly exhausting you. And until you understand how this habit formed, you'll keep blaming yourself for something your brain learned without permission. Your brain learns fastest when you're under pressure, not when you're calm, not when life is easy. When you're stressed, your brain switches into survival mode, and in survival mode, it stops asking, "Is this healthy?" It only asks, "Does this work?" Think back to the time when this habit likely formed. You were trying to keep up, avoid mistakes, stay emotionally safe, handle expectations. Your brain noticed patterns. Every time you worried, you felt a sense of control. Every time you stayed alert, you avoided surprises. Every time you stayed busy, you didn't have to feel what was underneath. So, your brain made a shortcut. It said, "Do this again." That's how habits form. Not through intention, but through relief. Relief is powerful. If a behavior reduces discomfort even slightly, your brain stores it, not as a thought, as wiring. And here's why this habit feels so deep now. Stress chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline speed up learning. They tell your brain, "This is important. Remember this." So the habit didn't just form, it imprinted. That's why you can't just decide to stop. The habit lives below conscious choice. It activates before you think, before you notice, before you have a chance to intervene. This is also why self-criticism makes it worse. When you judge yourself, your brain senses threat. Threat reinforces the very system you're trying to shut down, so the habit strengthens. Not because you failed, but because your brain thinks danger is back. Understanding this changes everything. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What did my brain learn when I needed it most?" Because once you see the habit as learned protection, not a flaw, you finally have a way out. Here's where most people get stuck. Once they realize a habit is hurting them, they try to fight it. They force themselves to stop. They make strict rules. They tell themselves, "I'm done with this." And for a short while, it works, until it doesn't. Because habits learned under stress aren't broken by control. They're broken by safety. Every time you try to suppress the habit, your brain interprets that effort as pressure, and pressure is the exact condition under which the habit was created. So the brain responds the only way it knows how. It brings the habit back, stronger. This is why telling yourself to calm down never works. Why promising to stop overthinking makes your thoughts louder. Why resisting the urge creates more urgency. Your brain doesn't hear logic in those moments. It hears, "Something is wrong. Stay alert." So it doubles down. Here's the part that's hard to accept. Your habit isn't the problem. Your brain's fear of letting go is. The habit is a tool your brain trusts. It may be outdated, but it's familiar. Letting go of it feels like stepping into uncertainty without armor. So your brain holds on. This is why habits formed without permission feel so stubborn. They weren't chosen. They were installed during moments when you needed protection. And unless your brain learns that protection is no longer required, it won't release them. That's the shift most advice misses. You don't weaken a habit by attacking it. You weaken it by changing the conditions that keep it alive. And those conditions aren't behavior. They're emotional. In the final section, I'll show you how to teach your brain that the danger has passed, and how habits that once felt permanent begin to fade naturally, without force. The moment your brain learns that it is safe, the habit starts to loosen. Not because you forced it to stop, but because it no longer has a job. Your brain doesn't hold onto habits out of stubbornness, it holds onto them out of necessity. So the real work isn't changing behavior, it's changing what your nervous system expects. You do that by creating small moments where the habit doesn't appear and nothing bad happens. You pause before reacting. You notice the urge without acting on it. You let discomfort rise and fall. Each time that happens, your brain updates its map. It learns, I can survive without this. At first, the habit may get louder. That's not failure, it's uncertainty. Your brain is checking, are we really safe now? So you stay gentle, no punishment, no pressure, no demands. Over time, repetition rewires the system the same way it learned the habit in the first place, quietly, gradually, without force. And one day, you notice something different. The urge comes later. It's weaker. Sometimes it doesn't come at all, not because you became disciplined, but because your brain no longer believes it needs that habit to protect you. You didn't choose this habit, but you can choose the environment that teaches your brain it's no longer necessary. And when the brain feels safe, it releases what it learned without permission, naturally.